going through Darrin Routier's testimony, part 1. We see here, as I study these transcripts, every time I study these, I think of something different, something I hadn't seen before. Almost every time. Here, Darin describes what he was doing as he came down the stairs and into the scene there. He went over to Devin and went behind Devin and was tapping him in the face, trying to wake him up. As if he was trying to wake him up. He felt like it was the glass table that fell over on Devin at first. But I go down to this part right here. Where was she when you were blowing into his mouth? Right over top of him. What was she doing? She was trying to stop the bleeding. She was trying to hold his chest together. Okay, I've got issues with this. Maybe we can comment below and help me out. Darlie Routier supporters go on and on and on about that pooling that's on the left side of her Victoria's Secret shirt. And it's very clear to me that that pooling is there because she was using her shoulder and chin to hold that phone into place while she held a rag to her own face, her neck. So it's not likely that she would be down there with Darin trying to hold. You would need two hands to hold a chest wound together. You can't do it with your fingers. It would slip right out. She would need both of her hands to do that, if she did that. That would show where the pooling of the blood. There's a little explanation for that. But there's something down here that I wanted to look at. That's why I'm doing this particular video. You have to look at the testimony for what it is, and perjury for what it is, what it could be. But he was asked, did she continue to get cat towels from the kitchen? That's a direct question. Did she continue to get towels from the kitchen? That's what he was asked, but he didn't answer that question. He just says, yes, sir. She kept running back and forth and screaming and hollering. He didn't say she got towels. But that's semantics. Here, Darin speaks of David Waddell, and when he walked into the room. Now, this is. Did he take over? Did he start issuing orders about how to take care of and attend and to render aid to the children? It says, as soon as he walked into the room, he froze. He did not move. Did he get his gun out? No, sir, he didn't do anything. Waddell testifies that he brought Darin back into the house at gunpoint. But here, clearly, David Waddell did when he walked into the room. Did he take over? As soon as he walked into the room, according to Officer David Waddell's testimony, he walked into the room with Darin at gunpoint. No, sir, he didn't do anything. I kept screaming at him and telling him to help me, and he wouldn't help me. But just a paragraph above, he said Darlie was helping him. What's Darlie doing? Was Darlie trying to get him to go back into the garage? Yes, she was. Yes, sir, he was. Did he finally go back into the kitchen? He stopped about halfway into the kitchen, then he came back. Would he go back into the garage? No, sir, he just stood there like, did he get his gun out? That could be a trick question. Because if Waddell already had his gun out, he didn't just get his gun out. Now, Darin just flat says, I never saw a gun. This is why the supporters always claim that David Waddell lied on the stand. His testimony is he pulls up and he sees a man outside with no shirt on, no shoes on, pair of jeans, standing by the front yard, screaming that his kids had been killed. That he drew his gun and escorted that man back into the house. One thing that Darin does not testify to is the supporter myth that Waddell walked in and threw up all over the bathroom. Nor does Darlie. Right at the end of that hallway there, just where the kitchen bar ends, and just go over just a little bit more from where the kitchen bar ends, directly across from that on the wall is a full bathroom. You have to walk pretty much halfway back in towards the end of the kitchen to be at where the toilet is at. He did not. It's a supporter myth. And how about that paramedic? He went first to Devin. Can you tell the jury if he had anything in his hands? Yes, one paramedic had two big old boxes, like an orange box and then like a white box. And he went around to the back of the house, around to the back of the couches. And he was knocking over everything that was in his sight. See how they maximize? He knocked the lampshade over. The lampshade, the reason that you see that lampshade, that gold lampshade, that's right behind where Darlie's head would have been had she actually went to sleep that night and not killed her kids. That's all there was nothing else back there for him, but they maximized. There's nothing else back there for him to do that. A moment ago, he said that she was getting towels and trying to hold Devin's chest together. The blood evidence on the vacuum cleaner does not correspond with what he's saying. Then we move through the testimony of Darin Routier. Supporters like to say that she kept going back and forth to the sink, getting a towel, and I always contended that most of them were just ones that fell on the floor and weren't used for anything. Dry towels. So most of them towels that Darin only testifies to seeing 3 or 4 wet towels that Darlie brought. The rest just fell out onto the ground. Mr. Cowart, Mr. Mark Cowart, if you watch my video, sir, 15 or 20 people in the house at this point when he went back to get Karen. They wouldn't allow him back into the house. Where was Karen at this time? A lot of supporters will tell you about the missing panties. And they say, oh, Darin found that when they put her on the stretcher. Darlie didn't even know. Darin was the one that saw that. Darlie's the one that brought that up. Darin goes back into the house after he left from Terry Neal's and Karen Neal's washing up. He's all in the scene. But at first he was denied entrance. He was able to slip in there unseen. Darin was barefoot. He did not cut his feet. Let's discuss this. There had been some discussion through the non-supporters. I even received a text from someone. State. And the question was, why would Darin leave Darlie in there to go over and get Karen by herself? The fact of the matter is, the testimony shows that Darin did not leave her in there by herself because Waddell was there when he went over to Terry and Karen's. There's a couple things that in his testimony that I put above here that we can discuss. Let's discuss the case. I too felt like Darin had left her in there by herself. Some of us long-time non-supporters, but to the testimony, no, he did not. Waddell was over there. But there's a couple things in there. If you just read the testimony, it debunks the whole idea that David Waddell walked into that scene and threw up, because neither one of them said that. As a matter of fact, Darin said he almost threw up. It's all for the sake of discussion and learning the case so that we know what it is we're doing when we say Darlie Routier is guilty. We need to know the facts 100%. That's why it's good to be able to discuss the case. I wish more supporters and non-supporters could talk to each other. But I gotta find a bunch of people in the non-support camp that we learn and figure these things out. So we know that in the end, we're definitely going to get justice for Devin and David Routier.